Sorry about that, babe.
Alright guys, we're back with another Bits and Glory challenge run. We're going to be doing F-Zero Night League on Master Class difficulty, utilizing Samurai Goro and the Fire Stingray. So pretty much what we're going to do is, obviously give you my commentary on my run, as well as some general tips. And there you saw the first one. Especially on Expert and Master, you're going to want to obtain bumps to start the race. Also, especially if you're the Fire Stingray, which has the slowest acceleration rate. Another tip, which you just saw me do right there, when you go over the jumps, hold down, it gives you the maximum height and velocity. And also when you land, also hold down. That also, I just said also 17 times, but that makes your speed stay higher, where if you don't hold down, your speed will decelerate, if you will. I will admit that I'm a bit guilty of that during the run. A few times my finger definitely doesn't stay down, but it is what it is. Do as I say, not as I do. There you saw me utilize my turbo boost, and that's where we're going to be using the turbo boost on this level. It's a good rule of thumb to use turbo boost in 3 areas, I would say. First would be through rough patches like we did there. That way you don't have to do any tight maneuvering. You could just go right over the rough patch and not lose any speed. Next would be a straightaway of some sort, because obviously you can go super duper fast and not have to worry about any turning. And then lastly, I like saving them as insurance policies, like let's say you're falling behind right at the end and you just need to like jam on it, you know what I mean? So, all in all, this is not that difficult of a track. As you could expect, it's technically the first track of the game, so even on Master Mode it's not too bad. But with that being said, Master Class difficulty can be very, very challenging, especially on the later tracks, but even on the early tracks, if you get a bad start, if you crash around a little bit, bad things can happen, people, I'm telling you. So, one thing to note with F-Zero, when you're in first, you're never really building on your lead, so keep that in mind at all times. You're going to still want to make sure that you race as clean as possible. Because one little mistake and you could be in 3rd place before you know it. It's ridiculous, I know, but that's just the way the game is. I love it for what it is, but it's certainly flawed. And there you have it. A 1st place finish with no deaths on the first track. Not too bad. Alright, Big Blue hype. You guys saw my short, you know it's one of my favorite tracks in the game. Amazing soundtrack, I just like the blueness of it. It's really cool. So there you saw the start of the race. I was able to get a double bump from Captain Falcon. Always helpful. And here you're seeing the rough patches where we're going to be using our speed boost later. Now, I don't find Big Blue to be particularly challenging. Again, it's in the Night League, so it's probably, like that for a reason, right? But there are some turns here and there, and there's a section right here that if you get bumped, you can kind of get haywire, going on in there. But, yeah, getting the double bump from Captain Falcon to start was good, because, I could have potentially fell back a lot further there after that little snafu. Use our speed turbo jet boost there through the rough, and now we're firmly in 2nd place, gaining on Dr. Stewart. Again, we want to make sure that we're not bumping into people through this blue area. And we round the corner there. We take 1st place, and I didn't really mention it, but the more that you finish higher in the race on every lap, the more points you get. And I think it's like every 10,000 points you get an extra life, which can be, come in handy. I believe in this particular run I don't die or anything like that, but in the future Master runs, yes, we die. Or we don't place. So since we're in first here, guys, it's pretty much just status quo. We have to focus on ourselves. And of course, you have to watch out for the orange/brown drones as they live to get in your way. We're still going to use our boost through the rough area to avoid any BS. And like I said, thankfully, as long as you avoid the drones, really the only tough spot is the spot with the blue. You just want to make sure you don't bump into anybody. Final lap here. Rolling along pretty smooth. We still have our turbo, which we're going to use here. Like I said, sometimes you might want to save it. Like if you feel like you're firmly in first place and you're very comfortable, you might want to save it in case you run into a problem and you can kind of, you know, jet your way through the finish line or something like that. But that's all she wrote for Big Blue, another first place finish. And good stuff for all. Now, I know for a fact that Sand Ocean is my weakest track in this run. But we'll see just how weak it was. Yes, we start off by missing the bump, which isn't great, but again, another tip to keep in mind, guys, even on Master Mode, don't fret too much. If you miss something right at the beginning, you still have time to come back, you just have to be a little bit more careful, which you could see, this race is starting terribly. We were missing our bumps, we wanted to get bumped by the purple vehicle and we weren't able to. Then we're firmly in 6th, and now we're about to be passed again, most likely, unless I bump him. Which I don't, but I somehow managed to stay ahead of him. Anyways, this track is definitely pretty tricky. You're gonna see kind of an interesting spot to use the boost. And if I remember correctly, it goes very, very badly for me. Don't know if it was this lap or the next one. But we're gonna start boosting. And yeah, things are not going well, guys. We are losing lots of power. Thankfully, despite how bad that boost was, we were still somehow in 6th place. Like, we didn't get turned around or get shot in reverse. So we're still alive, so to speak. But yeah, at this point, I was like, fuck. I don't think there's much that we could do here. And now we are on Death's Door. We are on low power. In the dead last spot to place out if we don't finish this spot or higher. Thankfully, we make up a little ground here. Use our turbo boost this time much more effectively. Still not making up too much ground though. It wasn't entirely perfect. We did get a bump there though, which is very, very helpful. It allowed us to go to 5th. And now, guys, at this point, let's try to recharge, right? I always say you're better off recharging than not. It's usually never really, like, out of your way. And you never know. Like, you never know when you're gonna get turned around sideways like I did in that one lap. And I lost so much of my power. Using our turbo boost through here, unfortunately, you know, obviously the drones are also trying to avoid the rough patches. So I will say, if you are using it through the rough patches, you are technically kind of better off going over them the whole time. Because typically the drones and CPU racers won't be on there for obvious reasons. But last lap, we're going to try our best to race clean. We still don't have too much power. We can take a little bit of damage, but not a lot. And as long as we stay 3rd or higher, we are golden. We're going to use our boost, and we don't really get through as much as we hoped there. And now we're in kind of a crappy spot because we're so close to Captain Falcon that we don't want to, like, bump ourselves out of the race, which I almost did there. Thankfully, I sent Captain Falcon flying. We recovered, and we just finished ahead of him, which wouldn't have mattered if it was 3rd anyway, but, you know, 2nd place is definitely a better finish, clearly. We're getting to my favorite track in the game, actually, which is Death Wind 1. I had a debate about this on my stream, if it was Death Wind or Death Wind, but I think it was referenced in the manual about the winds, which I didn't see. But you can definitely feel it in the race. Anyway, very, very straightforward race. This is one where even if you're like 7th or 8th, like, don't even worry. All you have to do is hit your turbo boost and make sure you don't lose too much power, and you're golden. And I love this race because it's very, very straightforward. It is a normal, you know, like, racetrack, except obviously, you know, there's rough patches and turbo boosts and, you know, whatever, but yeah, really the only advice here, guys, is hit your turbo boost. If you need to, slow down in that pit stop to regenerate. And if you miss one of your boosts, particularly that one right before the finish line there, I would use a one of your S-Jets. A pretty sloppy race overall. but that's the beauty about Deathwind, is you could be super sloppy and then just finish first just like that. And that's actually what's going to happen here. A lot of people struggle with Deathwind, and especially I called it Wind. Deathwind and Deathwind 2. And a big reason is you lose a lot of power. Obviously, Deathwind 2 is much more difficult than this one, but as long as you're recharging in there, and like I said, if you need to stop, like slow down, put on the brakes, recharge that power, you'll be golden. And when I go around that corner, I'm always holding the right button, or the R button. It helps angle, and you know, sometimes you can get through pretty easily without touching the outer rim. But even if you do, it's usually not that bad if you're holding the R button. But anyways, guys, the final lap here. Let's hit our boosts. And just like that, like I said, we are now in first. I think even if we were in fourth place potentially, we could have very easily lapped everybody. And that's the beauty of Deathwind, which is why it's one of my favorite courses. It's just very straightforward, it's high speed, and you can make up a lot of ground quick. And for all the marbles, baby, here we go. So this is definitely the toughest course of Night League by far. Mostly because of this spot right here. You have to make a pretty tight turn to get that jump, and you'll see me miss it like I did there. Basically, I would recommend decelerating a little bit around there and then holding the shoulder button. But, you know, even if you do miss it, you could still finish first, which is, again, I'm kind of glad that I don't have a perfect race. The other tough spot was that sort of S turn, which we'll talk about a little bit more on this lap. We're going to be utilizing our turbo boost after the S turn. So let's see if we can hit this here. We miss it again. Oh my god. What a sloppy race. Anyways. So around here, I'm just going to focus on trying to get through, even if that means taking my finger off the gas. And then a little bit after that, we hit the boost. And towards the end, we start turning to the left with, obviously, the L button, as well as potentially doing a few B boosts, if you will, with the gas. Thankfully, on the third time's a charm, right? We hit that jump. And we're going around here, again, bracing up for the S turn. Not great, but not horrible. And we waited a little bit, and then we shot our turbo. And like I said, if you start turning at that certain point and utilizing the, you know, the L button, you'll actually kind of get yourself on a course where, unless you get bumped by another vehicle, you will safely bounce off the wall and pretty much just be right in line to go over the finish line. It's actually pretty cool. Over time, I actually started to enjoy this track quite a bit because of that. I really like this turn here. Just one little bump, bam, there we go, we're right on track. And just like that, it's also the final lap. This is not that long of a track, especially compared to like Firefield or something on King League. Let's see if we can hit this jump. We are holding down again to maintain our acceleration, even though we bumped into the wall. It's fine because we have to go around the S turn, so it's better to be a little bit slower anyway. Wait a little bit and use our boost. Start our turn, bump off the wall, and bam. That, my friends, is F-Zero Night League Master Mode. This particular run was a first place, second place, first place finish with no deaths or timeouts. Unfortunately, the Queen League and King League runs, I do have some timeouts and or deaths. So this was the cleanest, but it was to be expected with the easiest of the three, clearly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this playthrough. Maybe I gave you some tips that could help you get through the game on either Expert or Master. I say give it a try. Very challenging, especially King League. But, you know, these old games are very rewarding, man. When you get through them and you conquer them, it's very, very rewarding. One of the better satisfactions for sure I had was completing Master Mode, the Grand Prix in F-Zero SNES. So anyways, guys, if you've enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Do my best to reply to all comments on all videos. And I'll see you guys with some more F-Zero content soon. Take care.